Kamala Harris is speaking out for the first time about her husband Doug Emhoff's previous affair while he was married to his ex-wife Kerstin Emhoff. In her new memoir, 107 Days, released September 23rd, which follows her 2024 presidential campaign, the former vice president candidly discussed her husband's past infidelity after right-wing activist Laura Loomer brought attention to it during the campaign. Of course I knew about this. Doug had told me about it when we were dating. We disclosed it during my vetting for VP. By marrying me and taking a very public stand at my side, Doug had knowingly put himself in the line of fire, Harris writes, according to an excerpt from the book obtained by InStyle. She continues, his former wife Kerstin had not, and neither had the kids, nor, for that matter, the teacher, who was soon being ambushed by paparazzi in the driveway of her home. I hated what was happening, that the kids had to be reminded of this awful period, that their friends would talk about it all over again, that Kerstin would have her privacy invaded, and that all of them would be dragged back into a miserable time. But I was running for president. I told Doug that he would need to deal with it. I couldn't look away from the job in front of me. The former U.S. Senator went on to praise Doug for how he handled the situation, describing her husband as the mensch that he is, issuing a statement taking responsibility and expressing regret. His ex-wife Kerstin also released a statement of her own, Harris recalls, in which she noted that she's really proud of the warm and supportive blended family Doug, Kamala, and I have built together. The former vice president additionally called Loomer out directly, saying, people like Loomer do their dirty work, hoping their target will lash out and say something inappropriate or be personally wounded to distraction. I don't want my family to be hurt, and I think that's true for every honorable human who runs for office. She then noted that families should be off limits, but acknowledges that sadly they are not. Doug and Kerstin were married for 16 years and welcomed 2 children, Cole and Ella, before finalizing their divorce in 2010. The kids have developed a close bond with Harris and call her their mamala. As the VP begins her book tour, she made a stop to The View on Tuesday and explained how she and Doug didn't even speak about her election night loss until she began writing the memoir.
So that chapter in the book was probably one of the most difficult things that I had to reflect on and write about. In fact, Doug and I, my husband, it wasn't until I was writing that chapter that we had ever talked about election night.
Oh.
We had never talked about election
It
night.
felt traumatic?
It was that traumatic. We had never talked about election night. So I'm writing it and I'm thinking about it. And, you know, and there were a number of people who I could kind of like, what was your, you know, like the different perspectives of a moment. And that's when Doug told me that he had been out campaigning with my brother-in-law in Pennsylvania, and we met back up in D.C. And I remember him being a little out of sorts, but there was so much happening. But on his way back from a rally where there was an incredible amount of enthusiasm, people on the ground were like, we got it, we're going to do this. And then they talked with a mutual friend of ours who was over at Fox News in the war room, who had been hearing about data that suggested things were not looking great in Pennsylvania. And the way I write about it, I mean, my poor husband, so he didn't want to put that on me. He went upstairs and he basically went in the shower and prayed that it was not going to be a bad night. And it was, you know, my family was there, everybody was there. I've always on election night done family and friends and dinner. But that night, I grieved in a way that I have not since my mother died.